Welcome back. The release of the report on Joe Biden's felonies he committed regarding the classified documents has resulted in some serious and obvious questions, especially when it comes to accountability. Here to discuss is Wyoming Congresswoman Harriet Hageman. Thank you so much for being with us today, Congresswoman. It's great to have you.
Thank you, Allison. I promise you I am not in prison, even though the backdrop looks like that. I'm traveling, and this was the only place that I could find a quiet place to set up so I could visit with you today.
Well, we're very grateful for your time, and thank you for setting up, even if in front of a prison-like wall there. Congresswoman, whether it is senility or criminality, and in this case, it seems like both to me, I think voters don't believe that Biden can actually stay in office. I mean, if he is too senile to stand trial, then he's too senile to be commander-in-chief, correct?
Allison, I think that we need to have you as the Attorney General because you obviously understand the state of play much better than the current Attorney General does. One of the things that struck me about the report is that the special counsel or special investigator, whatever he is, was stating that at this point in time, Joe Biden is not mentally fit enough to be held accountable for what is clearly a willful abuse of his office when he was vice president in the theft of official documents, including top secret documents. But that's not the question. The question was, at the time that he stole the documents, did he have the mental acuity to know that what he was doing violated the law? And clearly, all we need to do is go back and look at videos and things that were going on while he was vice president, and we could demonstrate that he absolutely knew that he was violating the law. So I think the fix is in. I think that this was their way to try to avoid having him to be held accountable while they continue to prosecute Donald Trump for something that is actually not the same thing. Donald Trump had the right to have the documents. They were secured by the Secret Service. We had all of those safeguards in place. With Joe Biden, we didn't. So it is interesting to me that the special counsel, the special prosecutor, whatever he is trying to find a way to give Joe Biden a bye. At the same time, he's saying, yeah, what he did was really bad.
Yeah, it is absolutely fascinating, though not too shocking given the current state of our nation, sadly. Now, House Speaker Johnson issued a statement that reads in part, the report exposes a two-tier justice system that is indicting one president with politically motivated charges while carrying water for another amid similar allegations. And regarding cognition, stated a man too incapable of being held accountable for mishandling classified information is certainly unfit for the Oval Office. Now, he stopped short of stating an action to remove the obviously unfit Biden, but I would love to know, are there any plans for this?
Well, there's a couple of things that are going on. As you know, we are already in the process with 3 separate committees looking at the impeachment of Joe Biden, with Ways and Means, the Oversight, and Judiciary, which I'm on. And I do believe that those proceedings will go forward. As far as what has now been raised is clearly a 25th Amendment issue. I don't think we have any choice but to address this. When you have the kind of report that we do that describes the fact that Joe Biden didn't even know when he was vice president or when his son passed away, clearly we've got someone who is not capable of being the president of the United States. But in fact, I don't think we needed this report to tell any of us this. Yeah. It was absolute insanity for his staffers to put him in front of cameras last night to not only confirm that he's not capable of handling this job, but confirming what the special counsel found in terms of his cognitive abilities. Put a video up side by side of him even a year ago, and he was struggling a year ago. Yeah. But put a video up of him a year ago as compared to last night or from last week, and what you can see is an 80-some-year-old man who has serious cognitive decline. You can see it in the way he holds himself, all of those things. And not only are we seeing this, but our enemies around the world are seeing this. This is an incredibly important issue, and I think that Congress absolutely has to be looking at this. And I think that Joe Biden's own cabinet needs to be determining whether they're going to go down with the ship that is Joe Biden, or they're going to step up and actually put America first for one time in their life.
Yeah, I don't know if they have any desire to do that, but it'll certainly be telling to see what happens in the upcoming months here. While we are talking about the immense corruption happening in America, let's switch gears over to the border and the obviously orchestrated invasion. Now, on top of the House failing to impeach Mayorkas, thanks to a few rhinos, yesterday 17 Republicans joined the Democrats to vote for a $95 billion bill to hand over billions more to Ukraine. And then, of course, our border stays wide open. unbelievable. What are your thoughts on this, Congresswoman?
So, Allison, the reason I'm traveling right now is I was on the border yesterday in the Tucson sector. And I was meeting with the Border Patrol and other law enforcement and the sheriff and community leaders and ranchers and other people who are impacted by the invasion that we have on the southern border. In fact, that's where I'm going to meet with others that are impacted by this as well. The fact is that it is an orchestrated invasion. What we saw and what people need to understand is that when people come through the border anywhere but a port of entry, they are actually not even entitled to claim asylum. So the hundreds of thousands and the millions of people that are pouring across this open border because of what Joe Biden and Mayorkas have done, they can't even claim asylum at some point in the future. So the entire thing is a charade. First of all, we are going to impeach Mayorkas next week. I believe that we will have sufficient votes to do that. I wish that that hadn't happened Tuesday night, but it did. It's water under the bridge. You move on. We will be impeaching Mayorkas next week for his dereliction of duty, in addition to the fact that he has violated the numerous laws of the United States of America. But I will say exactly what you're saying, which is I want to secure our border before I am going to spend billions of dollars to secure the border of any other country on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. If we don't secure our own border, if we do not stop the invasion and the tide, the flow that we're seeing right now, America is not going to be here 5 years from now to address the global issues that are so important. So for me, it is absolutely absurd that we have 17 Republicans who voted to move that bill forward without addressing this border issue. I've now been to the border 3 times. It's a disaster. Yeah. And it is a disaster for our lower class, our middle class, our working families. Here's what we've always said. You can have an open border or you can have a welfare state, but you can't have both. Yeah. And the people of this country, the American citizens, are suffering because of this.
Yeah, we sure are. So we are so grateful for all the work that you are doing down there to expose the truth behind what's happening. And I pray that you are correct about Mayorkas being impeached. I don't know how much longer we can sustain this. As you said, we will not have a country if this continues. So thank you again for everything you're doing on that issue. You mentioned global issues. On that note, the globalists are looking for more ways to control us and our food supply, of course. And I know you and Thomas Massie have co-sponsored a bill to stop an electronic tag on livestock that some are saying is a CBDC. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, that's the way that Thomas Massie describes it, and that's exactly right. The USDA, along with the big packers and the big ranchers, have been trying to put our smaller and independent producers out of business for quite some time so that they can vertically integrate the beef industry the way that they have the poultry and the pork industry. So both poultry and pork are vertically integrated, where our packers pretty much own the entire supply chain. That's not the same way with our cattle industry. We have ranchers in Wyoming, like my family. I grew up on a ranch in Wyoming, and they are independents, and they sell their cattle, and then they eventually typically go to feedlots, and then they go through the process. What RFID will do, radio frequency identification will do, is it will allow the USDA to determine who is going to be able to raise cattle in what numbers. And all I have to do is give you an example. In 2022, Ireland adopted a mandatory RFID. Now, keep in mind, they say that RFID, this EID plan, is for traceability of disease. They want to make sure that we have a safe food supply. The cattle industry, the beef industry in the United States is the safest and highest quality in the entire world. In the entire world. We already far exceed the standard of any other country in the nation. So they claim it's about disease traceability. But in 2022, Ireland adopted an RFID mandate. And by August of last year, the Ireland government was demanding that their ranchers slaughter 41,000 head of cattle. Not because of a disease outbreak, but because of global warming. So what the point of that is right now the USDA doesn't necessarily know how many head of cattle a particular rancher runs or where they're located, nor should they. This is about surveillance. Mm-hmm. We run our own independent operations. We run very high quality independent operations, but they want to know where they are. And the moment that they have that information, they're going to come in and they're going to start telling ranchers, all right, you need to slaughter 10% of your herd. You need to take out 15% of your herd, because we have a globalist war on our food supply and our food security right now all under the auspices of global warming. But what it is really is government-imposed wretchedness. It is designed to make us poorer and more dependent on government. And this is one step in that direction.
That's exactly right. We all know they're coming after us. They want to control us in every way possible. And that's not just stopping at us humans. It's even going to the animals. Very alarming. But thank you, Congresswoman, for raising awareness on this and trying to fight back on it. Hopefully we can put an end to this. We are all out of time for today. But thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate your time and insight. It was great chatting with you.